Today I offer suggestions on how to safely clean your ceramic animals. These tips may have variable results for you, and we do not assume any liability for the use or misuse of these ideas, materials, or methods. Test first on an unseen surface or a less important piece. The first instinct people have when they see a dirty HR like this kitten is they want to immerse it in soapy water. Here's why that is a bad idea. Spalling occurs when earthenware has been soaked in water, cleansers, or hydrogen peroxide. Here you can see the cat's eye in a bag of glaze flakes. The clay is literally returning to dust. There are several things you can try. He has some glaze crazing, as you can see the lines, the fine lines. What we don't want to do is push the dirt into the crazing. We'd like to lift the dirt off as quickly as possible without it sinking in. So one of the ways we can do that is with using rubbing alcohol, which evaporates quickly, and or paper towel. There's another method that I'd like to talk to you about that uses less lint, and that's the coffee filter method. That's right, an ordinary coffee filter with rubbing alcohol. This might be something you might have maybe stashed in your show box when you're going to a model horse show with your Hagen-Renekers, simply because you won't have to fight the lint again after you cleaned it. Paper towel, see that little edge? It's gonna leave some lint, but I'll show you with the paper towel because it's more obvious the technique, and then repeat it again with the coffee filter. So I just squirt a little bit of, this is, sorry, this is 70% rubbing alcohol. Burp. Okay, get that out of our way. I've very lightly spritzed it on this paper towel. It's not saturated all the way through to fold it over, so that gives you an idea of just how light I'm doing this. And as you can see, all these little spots, let's just try and lift a couple of them off with a quick, maybe some of the dirt in the armpit. And I'm using a very light touch because I'm trying to scoot it across the surface without rubbing it into the crazing lines. The crazing will show everywhere I have made an error and pushed dirt into. So as you can see, he was a filthy little piggy, and we're just still pulling material off. So the light touch, I don't know if I can demonstrate it easier than write it or talk about it, but I'm just lightly patting and wiping upwards and off to remove debris and dust. And this particular piece came out of the Hagen-Renaker factory. He was sitting in storage, just open air, getting dust and dirt on him. So now we've got an issue where there is material kind of like in the sculpture around the eye. And what I'd like to do, this is how little water I'm talking. You see this? It's like really small amount of water. Dab, 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 cotton swab. And just see if I can loosen some of that, and then try and dab it off and lift. Again, trying to lift the dirt instead of pressing it in. He's already looking so much better, if you can see by the light there. That was a tricky spot. There's also a tricky spot around his mouth. But already we have some really good results without staining any of the crazing. And see where there's lint? We're just gonna lightly dab, just barely getting the surface wet. Usually around the barrel of the animal is where there's a lot of hand oils and or lint. We're just gonna very lightly, again, I'm using that very light method to kind of clean up any dirt that might be in the white areas, lint that might be gathering, hairs. And what you end up with is a nice method that is lint-free, better than a paper towel. I discovered this by accident, trying to clean fly specks off of this Breyer porcelain, and he was meant to be shown. I mean, he still has his original stickers and everything, but although he is fired porcelain, his finish
is not fired. And you can see here where alcohol, I tried to remove the fly specks with rubbing alcohol thinking, oh, this will take care of it right away, and instead it actually removed his dapple overspray. It looks like the body was a rose gray color before they did the overspray, and if I just rub a little bit more, it comes right off, unfortunately, and the fly specks remain, but the finish is coming off. So this is just a warning. Please do not try to use the alcohol method on your briar porcelains. They're a much more delicate finish, and it's probably a low fire finish. Be gentle to your briars. Instead, what I would do is use the water method to clean. Water and a Q-tip, or better, use a soft brush. Oh, you get so much off with just a soft brush. So be gentle to your briars. There are other manufacturers and potters out there that also use water-based decoration, and one of them I found was the Maureen Love Originals and some of the Aline Ellis pieces. This piece needs to be restored, but I'm having to be very careful because she sometimes used inks as washes over on top of other pieces and to enhance decoration. And as an artist, they were, Aline was not in the model horse hobby and didn't know about all the rules of, only fired finishes for fired divisions of competition. So she creatively approached it with inks, and so did Maureen Love. A lot of her stoneware original horses have enhancements with inks, so I'm afraid that some of this might be ink applied, and I cannot use anything water. I can only use dry Q-tips to clean between, like so. I don't know if you can see that. And other soft materials. Some people swear by the Swiffer. No perfume added, no wet, just a dry, clean, never used Swiffer. It can get into really nice, good nooks and crannies. And if you need to check your work, you carry a little flashlight, double check where you're at. It also helps to find where the restorations need work. Things that do not work. For me, the microfiber towel is pretty useless. It's good for cleaning shelves of glass in a cabinet, but you can see that all the lint and stuff, it's a lint magnet, it doesn't work. Another method that I do not recommend would be, well, how come I can't just take tape and clean the nicotine off? Well, this is why. Because sometimes their finishes are delicate and they can come off with tape. Please, please be gentle to your ceramics. Again, this is another model where if I was going to be doing extensive clean, where the residue of the old sticker is, there it goes, so you can see it now. You can just very gently lift the residue off without lifting off the glaze. Even on this delicate man, look at that. What a handsome St. Bernard. We're not hurting him. Just cleaning him a little bit, a little grooming. And that is a safe way to do that. Again, you can also do the Swiffer technique, or where all this dirt is down in here, a dry Q-tip can start to make really nice progress without any real effort. You're just spending a nice afternoon. Maybe you got the TV on or the radio, or your favorite podcast is going, and you're just cleaning without rushing. The really important aspect of handling ceramics is you don't rush, and don't be afraid to try different types of paintbrush. This particular one I like, but some people like fluffier ones or makeup brushes instead. I like this one because it really firmly removes the dirt. Your brush will be up to you, which your go-to brush is, but notice how dirty it is already. I will now have to clean this before using it again. There are other common models that have fired finishes, but you would think the alcohol would be not a problem, and yet it is. The Marcia of California Maureen Love horses, for instance, the gold will come right off. The reason for this is if the manufacturer, to save money, they might run the kiln a little bit colder, just enough to achieve the bloom of gold out of the overglaze. That doesn't quite set it in the glaze strongly, and so what happens is with water, with a light rubbing alcohol, like we were doing, the gold finish will just come right off onto the towel. It looks black, but it's actually the overglaze coming right off. So dusting these, that's another situation where you're going to want to just use a brush or compressed air or a combination of those, because honestly your glaze, the gold will come off with heavy rubbing from paper towel, water, Q-tip, fingers. Rubbing alcohol is the worst. It lifts it right off. Just with Marcias, compressed air and soft brushes, that's your best bet. People have asked me about nicotine staining on HRs. This is a tricky area, and I'm gonna just say, please do not use acetone unless you know what you're doing, you are outside, you are far away from any ignition sources or sparks, because it is extremely dangerous. And you don't want to wear just a mask. When you handle acetone, you're going to need a respirator like this. So, equipment thing. Surprises you should know about as a Hagen-Renaker collector when you are doing a cleanup. So, you may notice there's something weird about this Designer's Workshop Hagen-Renaker swaps. He doesn't have the pink snip. This is an unusual variation. They're not unknown, but they're out there. And usually the snip is part of the decorator just scraping through the airbrushing and creating this little flesh-colored snip there. Well, sometimes you'll get one, you go to clean him, and all this black paint comes off because collectors weren't happy with the pink. They thought it was a flaw. And so they would airbrush over it and then show the horses, and then they would pass hands and people wouldn't know that they'd been altered in any way. So this guy actually came to me with a black face and he has in fact other markings after he was cleaned. I'm actually a little worried about this one, but it looks like original glaze on his nose. So just FYI, if you're cleaning up swaps faces, there they are. Yeah, you might get a surprise if you think you have a black-nosed one, and in fact it still has the normal snip on its nose. And that goes for cleaning up Hagen-Renekers that, say, don't have a white stocking where they should, or you go to clean them and the gray shading disappears because whoever sprayed them in the factory forgot to do the knees or spray a hoof. That's happened before too. So all in all, we try to be very gentle with what we're doing, and just use that lift technique and try not to rub the dirt into the crazing. Not all HRs are crazed, of course, but it's such a good practice to just learn the delicate touch and then apply it to all your HR cleaning. You can always do more later, but you can't undo overdoing it, if that makes sense. Just very gently. You can come back later. After he dries, I might come back and do more. Do not get alcohol on the sticker. It will ruin it. Do not get water on the sticker. Try to avoid touching it with hand oils, too. This boy is going to be a lot of work. If you have questions, you can always write the Hagen-Renaker Collectors Club. We do not do cleanups to order, but maybe these tips will help you attack a couple project pieces that you would like to see shine up. And our little pig is going to be ready for the ear restoration. Everybody gets a little bit better after they're cleaned up. They'll get repaired and on to the next. They'll be displayed. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this little quick video about how to clean your HRs.
What do I want to leave behind when my time on earth has run? Friends who miss me, work well done.